Hello, everybody. I am super excited today. And I think we're on LinkedIn. Hopefully, we'll see. We'll see if that works, which should be interesting. So this is the Cackle Entry Points weekly interview series highlighting small businesses, startups, and people that are having an impact on our communities. And today we're talking to Blessing Adesiyan, who's the founder and CEO of Mother Honestly and Villo. Hello, welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, I feel like we need all the things from you, like millions of things. I'll tell everyone like a tiny bit about you. Blessing is a trusted leader she's been an executive at multiple companies. She's got her bachelor's in chemical engineering. She's got a master's in energy management. She's got her MBA from UNC, all the things. You've done a ton with helping employers really craft an inclusive environment for parents in the workplace. Guided a lot of individuals in creating more balance in their own lives. I love like you post like photos of you and your kids, like a really integrated approach to like being a parent and an employee and a business owner and all those things and kind of balancing all those things. She's also, you've been in like every magazine ever, or like every, like Forbes and like all of these like big publications and the Cackle, of course. So today we're going to be talking to Blessing about finding harmony between, competing demands of work and parenthood and how to create your best life. I love that.
Absolutely.
So welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Why don't you tell a little bit about sort of background? I know I kind of like went over the top background on yourself and sort of your journey as an entrepreneur and starting Mother Honestly and Villo.
Okay, so I mean, obviously, you've given a wonderful intro about my educational background, so that's awesome. I'm done having degrees, so thank God. I think we're done. I am a mother of 3, and we have another one coming. So,
exciting!
Mother of 4, and I started off, as a chemical engineer, but I always knew that, at some point I was going to do my own thing. I just didn't know what that was going to be. But I started off as an engineer at DuPont. I worked there for 5 years in various roles. And then I moved on to BASF, which is the largest chemical company in the world. And I worked there for another 5.5 years. And during the process of working at BASF, I had my second child, my son, and that really threw me for a loop because now I know, my daughter was easy. I felt like my daughter was easy, and I had a lot of help. But with my son, it was just me and my husband and my son and my daughter. So I had to like figure a lot of things out on my own. And that was when it dawned on me just how tough and how hard it is to combine work and family here in the United States. So that process led to Mother Honestly because I was looking for a community that allowed women to remain their ambitious self and also to be an exceptional parent. And a lot of the communities that I found was, let's talk about breastfeeding, let's talk about cooking, let's talk about, baby diapers and, all those different things. Homeschooling. I mean, those are all fun things, but I couldn't find anything that was specifically geared towards my own ambition as a mother. And that was how Mother Honestly started. So I started it right out of Detroit. We just basically started as a simple get together. We would go out and just, chat about our careers, chat about our homes and our kids. And we had our very first conference downtown Detroit. And this was 3 months after our first get together. And our conference, we had about 250 people registered for that event. And it was a huge event. And people came out from, various employers across Detroit. And so that really, told us that we were onto something. And by the following year, we were able to double that number. And we've just been doubling our attendance to our conferences ever since then. So now we've had countless number of conferences. We held the largest State of Black Mothers Conference, the largest conference for Black women in the country just last year during the racial crisis. And we just continue to support mothers, whether it's at work or in their home. Because, when we look at working mothers, it's everything is split into two, right? It's work and it's home. And a lot of women just don't have that support at home, and neither do they have it at work. So it's very, very important for us to continue to serve those women and provide them with something to fall back on when they need to just, vent or, draw inspiration or, ask questions. We're just there as a sounding board. And so it's been a wonderful, wonderful journey. We have grown, to reach over 300,000 mothers across the United States alone. And we continue to expand globally as well.
Awesome. I love that. Yeah, it is. It does seem like, I remember, I don't think I was able to attend the first larger event that you have, but I remember hearing so many people talk about Amy Peterson from Rebel Nells on our board. And she was like, you have to go to this. And I was just like, I get this conflict that I can't go. But it was like, people were just so impressed. And I think a lot of these topics, I feel like there's some Facebook groups and little things like that. But I think a lot of topics for even just parents in general, it is kind of bifurcated, like you said, where it's kind of oh yeah, no, you're supposed to, once you're at work, you're supposed to just leave all that other stuff behind. And I think definitely this last year, that's kind of eroded away, because there's now too many things you're supposed to bifurcate out of, or you're supposed to cut out of your work self, that it's no, you can't always do that. So I guess, what unique challenges do you feel like mothers or parents face when they're in the workplace?
I mean, I think our challenges are unique and common, right? So it's common to a lot of working mothers. I think one of our biggest challenge is that mothers just don't get the right support that they need at work. So what do I mean by that? And we're talking about, a mom that, pretty much left a family back home or dropped them off at daycare or preschool or something else, and have to show up at work. And, again, they're supposed to just forget that they have families, right? And focus 100% on their work. And there's really no infrastructure, right, that supports this woman. So a good example is a new mom, right, that either needs to breastfeed or needs to do all, needs to check up on their kids or needs to take a break, right? Again, we're finding that there isn't, much support there in a lot of businesses. You will not believe how many businesses still do not have lactation rooms or, nursing rooms for mothers at work. I believe my first place of work, they basically showed me to the closets. Just move around some of those furnitures and figure it out. And I was like, where's the refrigerator? Where is, where do I sit? I had to go bring a box, right, to sit on a box. So again, just not enough, proactive thinking around, how do we actually support, these moms that are returning to work. So that's one. The other thing is, moms that are at work, and a lot of them just don't have the same advancement opportunities, right? Because we continue to have this bias in the workplace that, women are just not as effective when they have kids, right? So women start, there's a lot of comments around, well, you just had a baby and, you won't be able to perform in this role, right? Mm-hmm. Let's give it to Matthew, or let's give it to James. And so we're seeing all the systemic maternal bias that continues to perpetuate the workplace, and again, continues to draw women back. And so one of, the premise of Mother Honestly is actually working with employers and saying, how can we support you? How can we, ensure that your policies and your managers, are equipped right, to support their working parents. And I don't think it's just working moms. We see this happen to working dads as well, especially working dads that have decided that they will take that parental leave, right? I know my husband took, 8 weeks of parental leave, and his manager was not happy with that. And so it begs the question, do we need to, train managers to be supportive of employees that, decide to take their parental leave or go on parental leave and have to come back? And how do we support that transition back as well? So there's a lot of different things happening in the workplace that continue to hold women back, especially working mothers.
Yeah. Yeah, that is. And it's interesting too, because a lot of households, because women take the lead, if it's, a male-female relationship, like the woman takes the lead in like taking care of the children, and like, it's not really necessarily like an even partnership. So then like at the workplace, then they're also getting you need to be responsible for the doctor's appointments and all this stuff. So you're like not as available as our male employees. Yeah, that is like a big issue for sure. It's like
absolutely. And I mean, I think that one of the things that we see is that a lot of these men, right, have stay-at-home wives, and so they don't have the same level of empathy, because most of the time when the woman works, the man also works, right? When you see a working mother, 90% of the time they have a working spouse. And so they're in a dual career relationship. And so that's a different set of challenge compared to a director or a senior VP, right, that has a stay-at-home wife. And so he's not amenable to understanding that, when it's 5 o'clock, it's 5 o'clock. It's time to leave, right?
Yeah.
He's like, no, like I'm going to leave at 7 or 8 o'clock or 9, because when I get home, my kids are already fed. They're probably in bed, and I just grab dinner and go to bed. And so he's probably not as amenable as somebody that is in that situation where they also have a dual career spouse. And so they're able to, empathize and say, oh yeah, 5 p.m. done, right? If we're working 8 to 5, why do we need to extend that to 9, 10 p.m.? And we see a lot of this happen in the workplace where the woman gets penalized for simply doing the right thing, for showing up at 8 o'clock and leaving at 5, right? And, go the extra mile.
That is kind of, how much do you find that like employers, they might have the policies, but then they don't expect you to actually follow them? Because you mentioned
absolutely. Like, a lot of companies, have it in there that they are flexible and they are family friendly, and they have everything to support you as a working parent. And for the most part, maybe they do, right? Maybe they have all this wonderful paid parental leave plans and all this, child care. A lot of companies have backup child care now, right? That provides backup support. I think 10% of companies in the United States have that. So these companies have some policies and some infrastructure in place, but then you take that and, and it's not exactly applicable to all levels, right? It's not cascaded down correctly, because my manager still has to, I have to, basically chat with my manager to say, hey, I'm going on parental leave, right? And, he's not going to say no, but he's going to be like, well, if you're going on parental leave, then these wonderful projects, that I have coming up is definitely not coming to you, right? So he immediately, again, pushes that to somebody else. And when you come in, he may have already formed his opinion about you forever, right? Which means he may then say, well, now you have 2 or 3 kids, and I'm sure you're not going to be able to do this. So I'll continue to give this opportunity to somebody else. And the same thing with flexibility, right? Even when you say you're flexible, if the manager doesn't approve your flexibility, then you're really not, there's really no flexible workplace. I know, when I was in the workforce and, my company said we're flexible. Well, some managers are able to say, well, everybody works from home on Fridays, right? Or some managers say, hey, Monday through Thursday, work your 40 hours and that's it. And then you have some managers, this is the same company. You have some managers say, no, everybody butts in seats from 8 to 5, Monday to Friday, and that's it.
Yeah.
So it all depends, right, on how the policy is cascaded down in the organization.
Do you think some of that has improved in the last year as people just weren't able, as employers weren't able to just be as adhering to the
I don't know. I don't know. So we chat a lot with our moms, and a lot of moms, I think a lot of employers believe that they've given, employees flexibility, right? Which in reality they haven't, because the flexibility that a lot of people have right now is because of COVID. It's not because the employer willingly wants to give flexibility.
Mm-hmm.
So we have that, and that flexibility comes. We're realizing that people are being penalized, actually. So some employers are saying, I want you bought in seat from 8 to 5. I want to make sure that green light is popping. I can see your face at every second of the day. So there's a whole lot more, restrictions, that comes with this flexibility. We also have examples of, managers saying, because you now have this flexibility, then you need to work more, right? So they are sending emails at 8 o'clock. They need a response by 9 o'clock, and the file needs to be ready by the next day at 7 a.m. Yeah. I'm saying this because, these are some of my experiences in the pandemic as well. And a lot of women went through this as well, men and women. And what we're finding is that the men, have been able to keep up, because guess what? Half of the men are not shouldering any caregiving work responsibility at home. And so they've been able to send that file at 10 p.m., at 11 p.m., and mom is usually the one struggling, right, to respond at that time because she's tired or she's doing laundry. Yeah. So there's a whole bunch of, again, factors that we're seeing as a result of this quote unquote flexibility in the pandemic.
Yeah, that's funny. It's funny when you say that, when you're talking about like corporate world, is like, I used to have a corporate role, and I won't say where, but they, it's funny because they did the same, like, oh, we're so flexible kind of thing. And like, or like with a chill environment. And then I was like, oh, really? Like how? And then they were like, we wear jeans when we work on Saturdays. Like I was just like, jeans on Saturdays. And so now for people who are listening, who are in industries like that, if they're like, oh, don't worry, like you work on Saturdays, but you can wear jeans.
Well, you can wear jeans.
I'm like, I should be able to wear like a whole sweatsuit.
Yeah, right? They're doing you a favor by telling you to wear jeans on a day you're not supposed to wear. Oh, yeah, so, and that's what a lot of people are facing right now. Is that even though we're home, you still need to provide that. There's actually more that is expected of you because you're working from home.
Yeah. So let me see what would be good. How do you think like a couple like early actionable steps for employers in creating like a better, more supportive, inclusive environment for their employees who are parents?
I mean, I think it starts with empathy, and that empathy needs to start from the bottom. It needs to start from the bottom up, right? Because those supervisors, those managers, those folks that are out there in the front lines are actually the ones setting the tone for the company, right? If they come out and say, yes, the company is offering flexibility, but you have to be here. I have to see your face. Then that goes against what the company is preaching. So I think making sure that, policies match from the bottom up is going to be very, very important, and ensuring that managers are actually empathetic and flexible towards the needs of their employees. And this goes for everybody. We're not asking for some special, treatment for working mothers or working parents. This goes for everybody, because at the end of the day, we all have lives outside of our work, and America is the only country that literally works, 40 to 60, 70, 80 hours a week. I think the average American works 57 hours per week. And, that is just the average. We have people working 70 hours, people working 80 hours. That's a lot. People need to rest. People need to take time for themselves and their family. And a lot of times these expectations are placed on working mothers and working parents that are also, again, caring for little ones. And when we look at, the caregiving role, especially during this pandemic, it's falling mostly on women. And a lot of women have left the workforce as a result of that.
Mm-hmm.
In December alone, all the job loss were accounted for by women. And that's because women have just had it. We don't have enough support from a policy standpoint in the United States. Childcare is still an issue, and flexibility is still an issue for a lot of employers, believe it or not. And we just don't have paid parental leave across the board. And so that is an issue in a pandemic where, kids are home and we need to sort kids out. We need to sort our lives out. And then we also need to work. So I think that employers can step in and really provide their employees with the empathy, the flexibility, and the support. So again, I know that a lot of companies are coming up with, whether it's providing backup childcare, providing a household assistance, providing, free groceries, whatever it is, grocery support or a grocery pickup, whatever it is that you can support your employees with is absolutely important, especially during this pandemic.
Would you consider those are obviously good things, but I would consider do you have parental leave plan? And what does that plan look like and things like that? What are some of the things that are obviously you should have this?
Oh, I think the obvious things to have is flexibility, paid parental leave. And obviously you need some kind of childcare assistance. I mean, we're beyond that, phase where the employee's, family isn't a problem, right? That's what a lot of employers say, but it is a problem, especially when the kids are home right now in the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Some kind of assistance will go a long way in supporting that employee. So definitely childcare assistance, whether that's providing backup childcare when the school is out, or again, some of the pods are quarantining, and parents still need to work. I know a lot of parents that have to take weeks off work because the kids are home, because they are quarantining for 2 weeks or something like that. And so the backup care has been helpful because they send a nanny to your house and the nanny can watch the kids while you work. And a lot of companies are doing this already, which is great. We just need more companies on board for something like that.
Yeah, that is interesting. Yeah. Is there a service that you know of that's super popular?
I know that a lot of companies are doing a lot of there's some startups doing that right now. So I know that Bright Horizons is not a startup, but they offer backup childcare. There's also Sitter City, which is sort of like a babysitter service. There's also Urban Sitter. There's Care.com, which they have a program called Care at Work. So they support, they provide backup care to parents and also to elderly people. So if you have an elderly parent that needs, care, you're able to provide that as well.
Oh, that's so interesting. Yeah, that is something. I only have one friend who has a workplace that, or at least that I know of, that has a workplace that offers one of those. And I'm always like, wait, what?
Mm-hmm.
You'll just be like, it's a snow day. Hello, yeah. It's a snow day. I almost did this, which is what they say the kids do nowadays when you ask them what they instead of doing this, talking on the phone. Anyway, I digress. So what, I guess, as far as being a working parent and trying to achieve some balance in your life, what are your tips for I'm as guilty as literally anyone else could be of working all the time and going crazy with the kids, and trying to juggle all the things. What are some of your tips to someone like me who
I think definitely having some structure, understanding how your day is going to go before the day actually starts, because there's nothing, more worse than starting your day and literally being pulled in multiple directions. So I think purposely planning your day to be light. I know that sounds crazy in this crazy world we're in, where there's so much going on at the same time, but just be very strategic with your work days and make sure that, you're not overscheduled. There's always downtime for checking in on the kids. If the kids are home with you, checking on the kids, if they're with a nanny or, what have you, just make sure you have those things planned. So I like to have structure, because if there's no structure, my life is just everywhere, and that doesn't help anyone. So having a system in place definitely help, right? So if you are a working parent and you don't have help, then it's just, I don't know, it's, especially in this pandemic, it's just unsustainable. So whether that's your parents, a neighbor, or a paid help, somebody that comes in to either watch the kids, help out with some household chores, something as simple as laundry can really, really make a difference. So I always prioritize having some kind of support within the house. Another tip that I have is just make sure your spouse is also contributing. If you are in a relationship or in a marriage, right? Make sure that your spouse is also contributing. I know that it's hard for a lot of single moms because, of course, they don't have that support. But if you're in a relationship or a marriage, you're able to at least draw on, somebody else for that support as well. Gone are the days where dad just folds hands and watches TV. We're in a pandemic, everybody needs to step up. So I encourage you to have that conversation with your partner and make sure that, we're sharing that parental load at least to a great extent equally. Mm-hmm. So that's my third tip. My fourth tip would be, prioritize yourself. I know it sounds very, very selfish in a pandemic, but if you don't put on your oxygen mask, you're not going to be able to support your family the best way you can. And so for that, whether that's, taking an hour each night when the kids go to bed to, do something you love, get some rest, whether it's, paint your nails, chat with your girlfriend, whatever it is that you need to do to fill your cup. I just always put that first, honestly, because I just can't be everything to everyone and then be nothing to myself. So put yourself first, prioritize that care that you need. And I think those 4 tips have helped me in this pandemic because, I kid you not, Emily, when the pandemic first started, I was all over the place. I would wake up and I'd be like, what are we doing today, right? Yeah. But now I'm more very strategic. The night before, everything is planned out. And so we know, what everybody's doing at each time, and it's just easier that way.
Yeah, that is a really, really great point. And you're outnumbered. I have 2 kids, so at least we're evenly matched. But more than 2 kids, I'm always like, how are those people doing it?
Yeah, we're not doing well. We're not doing well. We're not doing well.
I was just this morning, this is a real 37-year-old thing to say, but we have a bird feeder, and there was like a bluebird on that, which I guess in Michigan is like the sign that it's like about to be spring. And we haven't had any bluebirds, and I saw it and I was like, it's getting warm outside. It's going to be spring. There's a bluebird here. The pandemic's almost over. People are getting vaccinated. I was just like going a little crazy for a second. Like I just saw that bluebird and I was like, the end is near. So but yeah, it is really hard, I think, to get that balance right and like make sure that you're taking time for yourself, especially when you've got like just the junk of the household piling up around you and there's like dirty dishes everywhere. My kids will destroy the house and it's already destroyed for the day. I don't know why I cleaned it last night.
My house is always upside down. I just keep my corner of the office. I'm like, nobody come here. That's it. Like, you can destroy the rest of the house. That's fine.
It's like, you've got like a tent set up. How old are your children?
12, 3, 1.
Oh man. That's so good. Is the 12-year-old super helpful or is the 12-year-old not?
Yeah, she's helpful. She does the best she can. Yeah. At least she changes diapers now, so that's good.
Oh, that is good. That's a real upgrade. I like that. And then I guess to kind of close this out, because I know we're like right at 11 right now.
Yeah. 11 a.m.
I would say, let me see. The ultimate. Where can people go? So you guys have a lot of like motherhood like advises employers on how they can like create better policies, create a more inclusive environment for parents, kind of like a wellness check for the employer. Like, are you doing what you should be doing at a minimum? And what more could you be doing? And you guys have like a ton of really great conferences and, roadmap sessions and like resources for parents that they can go. So where should they go to get all those things?
So definitely find us at motherhonestly.com. That's one word, motherhonestly.com. And we are also on all social media platforms as Mother Honestly. So definitely check us out. We're very active on Instagram. We share various tips, resources, and tools. We have a podcast. We have roadmap sessions. We have conferences. We have a job board. We just have a lot of great things happening. So check us out.
Yay, perfect. And next week on the Cackle, I'm excited. We have, I always say I'm excited about things. I have to stop saying I get a broader vocabulary up in here. But anyway, Kate Mitchell, who's super exciting. So she is a VC at a venture firm in the Bay Area. She works a lot around like building diversity in the venture community, but she's also like a pretty famous like venture capitalist. And so
that's awesome.
She knows all the things.
Can't wait to tune in.
Really pumped to have her on. But yay. Well, thank you so much, Blessing. Everyone can go to motherhonestly.com to check out all those things. We'll post the link in the comments. And it was great talking to you today. I'm like motivated.
It was nice chatting with you, Emily. Thank you so much for having me.
Sweet. Okay. See ya.
Bye-bye.